you didn't see this coming. That's the first thing I need you to understand. Whatever has been unfolding around you lately, the slow shifts, the quiet rearrangements, in the sense that something is different, but you can't yet name the shape of it, none of it prepared you for what's about to happen. Because the thing about a miracle is that it doesn't announce itself. It doesn't send a preview. It doesn't give your nervous system time to brace. It simply arrives in the middle of an ordinary afternoon, in the middle of a sentence, in the middle of a life you thought you had mostly figured out, and it rearranges everything. Something is about to rearrange everything. And the rearranging begins with a voice, with words spoken or written or sent by someone you already know, someone already woven into the existing fabric of your life. Not a stranger arriving from nowhere, someone close enough that when they speak, you'll feel the echo of every previous version of your dynamic with them, all the things unsaid, all the almost moments, all the careful distances maintained, dissolving in a single, unpredicted confession. Before I go further, I want to sit with the energy that surrounds you right now because it's telling me something important about why this is happening now and not before. There's a quality of earned stillness around you, like someone who has stopped trying to force the river and simply stepped back from the bank. You've been in a period of internal settlement, not resignation, nothing like that, but a kind of genuine acceptance that arrived only after you stopped white knuckling your expectations about how things were supposed to look. You've been letting things be what they are, letting people be who they are, trusting quietly and without fanfare that what is meant to reach you will reach you without you having to drag it across the finish line. That letting go, that was the miracle's door opening. The universe, or whatever you call the intelligence moving beneath the surface of things, has a very specific relationship with surrender. Not the surrender of giving up, the surrender of releasing your grip on the outcome long enough for something better than what you imagined to walk through. You released, and something is walking through now. This person, I want to describe what I'm sensing around their energy because it's layered in a way that deserves care. They've been sitting with something for longer than, weeks, possibly, maybe months. There is a feeling around them of a room where the same thought keeps pacing back and forth, never quite reaching the door. They've rehearsed this, not the words exactly, but the feeling of it, the sensation of saying the true thing. They've imagined your face when they say it, and that imagined face has sometimes stopped them, and other times, in certain kinds of light, given them the courage to take one step closer to saying it out loud. What kept them from saying it sooner wasn't indifference, it was almost the opposite. You matter to them in a way that made the risk feel enormous. The bigger the truth, the heavier the cost of getting it wrong. And so they've been careful, methodical in the way they've watched you, measured the temperature of your interactions, searched for the sign that the ground was safe enough to step onto. The sign arrived recently. You probably gave it without knowing. A moment of warmth or honesty, or simply being unguarded in a way that only you can be, and something in them shifted from almost times, to times now. There's something about the nature of this confession that I want to name because I think it's going to catch you more off guard than the confession itself. It won't be dramatic. I keep feeling this very strongly. There won't be a grand gesture, no public declaration, no moment designed for maximum impact. What's coming is quieter and therefore more devastating in its own way. Because quiet confessions, the ones spoken in a low voice in a small moment, carry a different weight than the theatrical kind. They're not performed for an audience, they're not managed for effect. They come from somewhere undefended, and that defenselessness is the thing that will go straight through you. You'll hear it, and something will go very still inside you. Not the stillness of shock, exactly, the stillness of recognition. Like hearing a piece of music you've never listened to before and realizing your body already knew every note. I want to pause here because I keep sensing a question sitting just below the surface of your energy. A question you've been afraid to fully formulate, even in private, because formulating it felt like tempting fate. Is it who I think it is? Yes. I want to be careful here. I always want to leave room for your own knowing, your own interpretation, but the energy is specific enough that I'd be doing you a disservice by being vague. The person whose face arrived in your mind in the first seconds of this reading, the name or feeling that surfaced almost involuntarily, the one you immediately tried to talk yourself out of that instinct of yours, is correct. This is someone you've thought about in a particular way. Someone who has occupied a specific cordoned off space in your awareness, the space where you keep the things you don't allow yourself to want to openly. They've lived there quietly, and you've occasionally visited that space and looked at what you'd set aside and wondered, and then closed the door again and gone back to the practical business of your life. The door isn't going to stay closed much longer. Something about the timing of this feels significant, and I want to explore it for a moment, because timing is never random, even when it looks like it is. You have changed in ways that are subtle enough that you might not have a complete inventory of them, but real enough that the people around you are registering them, even if they can't articulate what's different. There's a new quality of self-possession in you, a groundedness that reads to someone paying close attention as someone who has arrived somewhere. Not arrived in the sense of completion, arrived in the sense of having finally, genuinely moved into their own life, stopped visiting it from the outside, started actually living inside it. That quality is what moved this person, not something you said or did specifically. The totality of you, lately, the version of you that has stopped performing comfort and started embodying it, is what made them feel, at last, that the truth between you had somewhere real to land. You became the safe ground they needed before they could speak. Does it strike you that the very thing you grew for your own sake, your own healing, your own settling into yourself, became the thing that gave someone else permission to be honest with you? I find that quietly extraordinary. Leave me a thought in the comments if that lands. Let me tell you how this moment actually arrives, because I keep seeing it with a kind of cinematic clarity. It comes at an unexpected point in an otherwise unremarkable interaction. You're not dressed for it. You're not prepared. You might be mid-sentence about something completely unrelated, something logistical even, something mundane, and then they go quiet in a way that's different from their usual quiet, and you notice it. Because you notice everything, Virgo. This is the gift and sometimes the burden of your nature, and you'll look up or turn or simply feel the change in the texture of the moment before you consciously understand it. And then they speak, not at length. The actual words might be very few. A confession doesn't require many words when the weight behind it is real. It collapses the distance between two people with the efficiency of lightning. Short, direct, absolutely irreversible, and what they say will be true. You'll know it's true not because you needed convincing, but because it lands in a place in you that's already been waiting patiently, quietly, without demanding for exactly this. I want to address what happens in you in the seconds immediately following. Because this is Virgo, and I know what Virgo does in moments of profound emotional arrival. You process, you analyze, you search for the responsible interpretation. Part of your mind will immediately start building the context, the reasons this might be complicated, the history between you, the practical implications, and that part of your mind is not wrong to do this. It's how you're built, it's part of your intelligence. But underneath all of that processing, in a place quieter and older than your analytical mind, there will be something very simple happening. Joy, uncomplicated, undecorated joy. The kind that doesn't need to be validated or explained. The kind that exists prior to logic. And I want you, when you feel that, when that simple thing rises in you beneath all the processing, to let it be real, to not immediately qualify it or contain it or subject it to review. Just let it be real. Just for that moment, just for the space of a few breaths. Let yourself simply feel the extraordinary thing that is happening now. Beyond the moment itself, because life continues past its most significant moments, even though it's tempting to think it stops there, let me tell you about what opens up. This confession doesn't just change the dynamic between you and this person, it changes the dynamic between you and possibility itself. Because when someone who knows you, who has seen you in your ordinary moments, your unguarded moments, your imperfect and fully human moments, still chooses to say times, this is what I feel. This is what I've been holding. This is the truth of how I see you times. It does something to the story you carry about yourself. It rewrites a paragraph. The paragraph that said, people who really know me don't choose me. The closer someone gets, the less they see to love. That paragraph, which I suspect has been sitting somewhere in your narrative for longer than you'd like, doesn't survive this confession because this person knows you and they are choosing you anyway, not despite the knowing, because of it. That's the miracle buried inside the miracle. There's a quality to what's building between you and this person that I want to describe carefully because it's different from other connections you've had. And I think naming the difference matters. This has the feeling of something that was always going to happen, not in a fatalistic sense, not a cage, but a current, like two rivers that have been moving through separate landscapes for years, each carving their own path, and then arriving at the same valley from different directions, and joining in a way that feels both utterly natural and slightly astonishing. Neither of you invented this. Neither of you could have forced it. It found its own time because the right conditions had to exist first in both of you, and now they do. And what emerges from here has a foundation beneath it that you can feel even before you can fully articulate it. Something solid, something patient, something built to weather things. You have not always had that. You've had connections with electricity and no ground. This has ground. This has the particular quality of something real, and real things, Virgo, are the only things that have ever truly satisfied you. Let me speak to the larger shape of your life for a moment, because this confession is one thread in a tapestry that's being rewoven more broadly. The miracle announced in the title of this reading, it isn't just one thing, it's a cluster of arrivals, all connected to the same energetic shift that's been building in you. The confession is the most intimate expression of it, but it isn't the only one. Watch the areas of your life that have felt stalled. A situation that's been waiting for some invisible permission before it could move something is going to break that open. A relationship, professional or personal, where communication has been circling the important thing without quite landing on it, something is going to shift that into directness. A resource or opportunity or creative possibility that has been hovering just outside your reach. Something is going to move it across the threshold. It all carries the same quality, the same energy of things that were ready, finally being received by someone who is also ready. That someone is you in this season, in this configuration of your life. Ready doesn't mean certain, ready means open. And you, Virgo, are so open right now, more open than you realize, more open than you've been in years. Something I want to leave with you, a very specific image that arrived near the end of this reading and won't let go. A winter tree, bare, absolutely bare, every branch visible, nothing hidden, no leaves to soften the lines of it, standing in a field in the particular quality of light that comes just before spring. The cold still present, but something in the light has changed, some angle has shifted, and the tree is about to become unrecognizable from what it is now, not worse, entirely, luminously more. That's you. Not in the bareness that's not the meaning, in the readiness, in the absolute completeness of what you are right now, in this exact moment before the bloom, and in the fact that the bloom is not something that will happen to you, it will happen through you, from the inside out, because everything it needs is already there. In the roots, in the patience of the winter, in the intelligence of a tree that knew how to shed what it needed to shed and wait without losing faith in its own spring. Virgo, someone who knows you, who has watched you, thought about you, held their truth about you quietly in the private chamber of themselves, is about to open that chamber. And when they speak, you'll feel something you haven't felt in exactly this way before. The rare, clean feeling of being both surprised and somehow always having known. That's the miracle. Not magic descending from somewhere else, truth arriving from somewhere near, close enough to touch. This is your season. Not next year. Not when things are more settled or more certain or more convenient. Now, in the middle of the becoming, in the imperfect, luminous, thoroughly real middle of everything. Now, if the image of someone specific arrived for you during this reading, if a face or a feeling surfaced that made your heart do something complicated, you don't have to share who. But I'd love to know in the comments whether this touched something you've been quietly holding. You're not alone in it. You never were.